In this episode, we've got our first interview and some high fashion. Stick around, it's going to be a great show. Hi, and welcome to SnapShot, the show that's all about taking better photos, taking better video. I'm your host, Denis Rule, and we've got a feature-packed episode for you this time. We've got our first interview with one of Ottawa's top models. Well, she's not just known in Ottawa, she's known across the country and internationally as well. We also have a great feature piece of gear from Westcott. We're going to be doing a review on it and a photo shoot, so we're going to do some high fashion with Speedlights. We've also got a few other things for you. But first, I want to address a couple of questions that came in, and they're actually very interesting. Richard wrote, I see that you use a light meter in the previous shows. Light meters are pretty pricey. Is this something that I need to purchase? Can you show us a way to make the shot without a meter? Certainly, Richard, you don't need a light meter. The light meter just saves me time. It's a great asset for me to be able to measure everything and do everything quickly. Being a commercial photographer, I shoot a lot of photos, and if I had to take 5 or 10 minutes to build every shot to make sure the lights were right, I'd be spending a lot of time doing it. We are going to dedicate a show to setting up the shot in manual mode without a light meter, so you guys can get an idea, and we're going to do that very, very shortly. James writes, really good series of videos. I think it's a good build if you put the settings at the bottom of each photo so that people can see them without having to talk about these each time. All good though. James, that's a great comment, and thank you for that. We're going to make sure that we put the settings on the website in the gallery. That way you'll be able to see exactly when you're looking at the photo, you'll be able to see exactly what the settings were. Just remember that this is a starting point only. Every shot is different, and depending on the gear that you use, it's going to transmit light a little bit differently as well. So, depending on the diffusion material and the modifier and the size of the modifier and the reflectivity of it and the lens and the camera, it's just a starting point. So just remember that. So let's get into this show. I've got a great video tip for you. Actually, it's an audio tip, and this tip applies to all cameras, whether it's a smartphone or a top-end DSLR or anything in between. This will help you get better video. Check it out. The key to having good video is to have good audio. And Rhodes has a great solution for this. It's called the Smart Lav. And I have the Smart Lav, or the lavalier microphone, clipped to my shirt here. I haven't bothered to hide the wire because I want you guys to see it. And it's plugged into my smartphone. In this case, it's an iPhone, but it works on the Android platform as well. What you do is you record your audio onto your smartphone, so you don't have to worry about long wires or radio interference, and then you marry the two audio tracks together in post. Very, very easy to do. I'm using a Nikon 1V2 to record this segment, so we're going to switch over to its microphone. And I'll speak into it. I'm roughly 6 feet away, so I'm just going to raise my voice a little bit, so talking into the V2's microphone. Now we'll switch over to camera B, which is actually a Nikon 1V1, and it's on James's right. And it's roughly about 12 feet away from me, so again, I have to raise my voice a little bit more to be able to speak into that microphone. Now we switch back to the Rhodes, and you can see immediately the difference. So the key, again, to good video is to have good audio, and that's your tip for this episode. We're in the studio today, and I'm joined by Ella Rose, otherwise known as Ella Medella on Facebook. Yes. Some of you may have seen some of her photos. Ella and I have worked together on a number of shoots, and we've had some really cool, iconic photos together.
We have, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a few years, and I know that you're involved with a whole bunch of things, and I know that you do some interesting traveling. And why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the places you've been and maybe some of the more memorable shoots that you've been on?
Yeah, I get asked this quite a bit, and it's really hard to pinpoint my favorite shoot, but I love traveling, and I've had the opportunity to go to some amazing places. And when I was 20 years old, that was my first shoot out of the country. But my very favorite shoot to date was last January. I was asked by a fine art photographer to travel to Belgium Bruges, Belgium, and shoot there. And when I arrived, my hotel room was a 3-level room in a converted palace, a duke's palace, and it was a dream come true for me. I'd only shot a half day there, but I had 4 days in the city, which I got to travel around in this 400-year-old medieval city, and it was incredible. So I've had some amazing opportunities.
Very, very neat. Now, I know you've worked with photographers at many skill levels.
Yes.
And a lot of photographers that are watching the show are just starting out.
Yeah.
What advice could you give them? What are the advantages of them looking for a model maybe at the beginning who's got more experience, more of a pro model?
I think it's really beneficial for those photographers to hire a professional model, spend a bit more money, but you'll have an experienced model who knows how to pose, knows how to work her body angles, knows the key light, and that way you're just focusing more on the technical aspect of the photo shoot, so you're not worrying too much about teaching her how to pose or worrying too much about the model in that regard.
Okay. Yeah. Would you have any advice for a new photographer on how to maybe relate with a model and make you or another model more comfortable?
Yeah, sure. Especially models that may not have a professional level of experience, they'll want to, or otherwise, maybe meet the photographer in advance or at least spend 5 or 10 minutes before the shoot just talking about, what the shoot's going to entail and just having that bit of rapport before the actual shoot starts. I also think it's really important that when a photographer is working with a model to always, if you have to move hair or clothing, always say, I'm just going to move this, or do you mind if and the model will let you know her comfort level. Most models won't mind, I know it's easier for a photographer to just do this rather than trying to explain to me what they want to do, but that also just gives that little level of comfort, and maybe having makeup artist or another female assistant around, especially when working with a female model. I think that might help a model feel a bit more comfortable in a new situation, new relationship with a photographer.
Well, I know for a fact that when I have a model who's more comfortable, I'm going to get a lot better images. I don't have to work as hard, and the strained face does show up in the shot.
Oh, sure.
So making the model comfortable is really, really important, at least to me as a photographer. And speaking of me as a photographer, you've helped me out in a lot of cases where I've needed help in another city when I needed to get some models or some makeup artists and stuff for a shoot in Toronto. I actually turned to you, and because you've set up a fantastic network of contacts. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that so that some of the photographers who are not necessarily in Ottawa can maybe take advantage of what you have to offer?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've spent about a decade in this industry, and so networking with makeup artists and hairstylists and other photographers and models just came really easy for me. I now have Mandela Media, which is a media and marketing company that also hires models and actors for events and photo shoots and commercials all across Canada. Right now I have about 1,000 talent base just specifically for this type of work. And so yes, you're right, in Toronto and Vancouver and Nova Scotia and anywhere actually. I've even hired models in London, England, and in the US. It's just I just started networking, exchanging contact information, and it started when I was a new model, and I would meet models and get their phone numbers, and then I would see casting calls that weren't necessarily right for me, but then I would think, oh, what about that model that I met last week? And so I would start sending in her photos, and it just kind of grew from there. But I also do that now with photographers, where I have photographers that I need to book work for, or vice versa. I have work that I need videographers and photographers, and so I'm a talent, I do talent recruitment for them too.
Very neat. Yeah. You told me a little earlier when we were off camera that you were once told by a modeling agency that you were too short.
Yes.
So I guess you've shown them.
Yes, when I was 17, I went to a model and talent agency here locally, and I really wanted to be a model, and they told me, unfortunately you're too short for this industry, but we'll take you for acting. And I was excited about that, and I did TV commercials and movies, and that was fun, but my headshot started getting me modeling work, and that was when the industry started to change where the internet became a great way to network, and I had my own website and I started marketing myself directly, and I became my own manager, and because of that I was able to do all the things that I ever wanted to do with modeling. So I really credit the internet for that because it changed the industry.
Very neat. Now you've stepped around. You've come around to the other side of the camera, and so now you're behind the camera. You're a little bit behind the scenes, and I've seen some of your work, and it's spectacular.
Oh, thank you.
And so tell us a little bit about that transition, about going from the front to the back of the camera.
Yeah, I absolutely love shooting photography and video. I do both now, and I don't tell many photographers, but I think I like photography more than modeling now. But the transition was very easy for me. You're right, I got a lot of information via osmosis. I would model for workshops and listen to what they were saying. But when I was 20 years old, I had modeled for a commercial photographer. His name is Mitch Lynette. He's an amazing photographer, fashion, commercial. He's amazing. And I started working as his commercial assistant. So we would be working for ad agencies and doing large campaigns, and I would be working with the high fashion models and the stylists and being on set and setting up lights and tearing down the studio and, doing all that grunt work stuff. And so I learned a lot about it that way. And then I got a job as a medical photographer at the Children's Hospital and learned all the technical aspects of photography and studio lighting and everything I needed to know there. And I would work with the patients and the doctor.
Well, it sounds like you've experimented a little bit in each of the different facets, and that's very, very neat. How can people get a hold of you if they want to find out a little bit more about your media and your contacts information?
Sure, they can go to medelamedia.com, and that has my work and video work, and they can contact me directly from there, and also send me an email, and I can set them up in the database if they want to be a part of the casting calls for either models and actors or photographers, videographers.
Terrific. Well, we'll put a show link or a link for your website down in the show notes so that people can get a hold of you.
Sure.
I've got this really neat piece of gear that came into the studio yesterday, and I'd love to take it out and give it a test for the first time.
Okay.
Are you up for a little bit of modeling fun?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I've got Cynthia in back, and I've got Tracy. We've got a really cool fantasy type high contrast look for you. So if you want to go in to get wardrobe and makeup and hair done, we'll go into the other studio. We'll introduce this piece, and then we'll meet up in the big studio shortly.
Okay, great. Sounds like fun. Yeah.
All right. So we'll be back shortly. Here's that great modifier I was telling Ella about in the interview. It's called the Rapid Box Duo. It's by Westcott. And this is really cool because you'll notice inside here there are two Speedlights. And let me just close this down for a second. You'll notice that it's umbrella based, and that's very cool. There's an actual strap here that wraps everything around. And let me just turn it around here, and so you can have a quick peek. There are two Speedlights back here, and so you're saying, why would I want to have two Speedlights? Well, it's kind of simple, really. If you're shooting outdoors, you want to have a little bit more intensity. You want to try to overpower that sun. Going into a softbox, that's going to eat up some power. So having two Speedlights there is going to give you back some of that power and be able to get those crisp, dark blue skies and amazing contrasty type looks. Having two Speedlights if you're shooting high-speed sync is very, very important as well because, again, high-speed sync eats up power. So by having two there, it gives you opportunity to get shots that you wouldn't get otherwise. And also just overall volume of light. Just more volume, faster recycle time, all kinds of faster recycle time and just less power being consumed. Your batteries are going to last longer. If you don't have two Speedlights, not to worry, you can use it just fine with one. And later on when you get a second Speedlight, you'll have that advantage. So back here there's a little cinch cord that seals everything up. This bracket's adjustable. It's adjustable in and out, and it's adjustable up and down. So it fits Speedlights of all brands. And so having this here just stops the spill of light coming through the back. So let's go back to the front here and take a peek. Let me just make a little bit of room here. And opening this up, it's really, really neat. There's a pin in the center. You just line that up and give it a little twist and it locks. So 32 inches octa.
It's very deep. It's 18 inches deep, so lots of contrast, very, very easy to feather. The deeper a softbox is, the more you've got that feathered edge on the side. So I open that up, and it comes with two diffusers. This is the center one here, and that snaps into place. Now, having the center diffuser in, you can still see that the silver material is showing on the sides. So I've got a soft light through the middle, or a softer light through the middle, and a hard edge contrasty light in the center. Great for fashion work, good for male portraits. For female portraits, I prefer using both diffusers, and this is included as well. And this one just goes on with Velcro onto the edges. And so that's very, very fast and very easy. And so now I've got a very, very clean light, very homogeneous, even right across. There's no hot spots, so that's really cool. So let me just take this off for a second. I want to show you one accessory that comes that's available for the Rapid Box that I think you're going to like. All right, so here's an accessory that's available. It's called a deflector plate, and it's just basically well, a 6-inch metal disc, and it's got a screw in the center. There's a threaded hole right here, and I just line that up, lock it into the spot, and now I've got a 32-inch collapsible beauty dish. How cool is that? Beauty dish is great for shooting product, it's great for shooting fashion, it's great for shooting male portraits. There's a lot of advantages to a beauty dish, and it's really a lot of fun to play with. So there you have it. That's the Rapid Box Duo from Westcott. By the way, the build material on this thing all the way around is it's superb. Everything is well stitched. The material is good quality. It's going to last you for years and years and years. I'm looking forward to using this in many photo shoots to come. But right now, I think Ella must be just about ready. So let's go to the large studio, and we're going to set this up. We'll take some shots and see what it can do. Okay, so here's the setup. We've got the Rapid Box on a boom stand. We've got it up above. We've got both diffusers in. Now we have two flashes in, and they're set up at 1/4 power each. We've got one pocket wizard triggering the master, and the other one is on slave. Camera settings. We've got it pretty simple. I've got a pocket wizard up on top. We're at f5.6, 1/250th of a second, so I can take out all of the ambient studio lighting, and I'm at ISO 400. So now, let's take a look at the set. Ella's gone through makeup, and she's looking very, very dramatic, so that's kind of cool. So for our first shot, I'm going to use just the Rapid Box itself, the Duo, and I've got a fabric down on the ground, which is a silver, and that's going to help just bring in a little bit of kiss of light in underneath, just to kind of fill some shadows and give us a bit of a dramatic look. So you'll see two flashes in the background. I assure you they are turned off at the moment, so it's going to be a one light shot. So I'm just going to step back. I'm using a 200mm lens because I really want to compress the scene, and I really want to make everything dramatic. So we're going to go with the first shot. Ella, I'm going to get you to bring your hands up and just give me some body action. And there's our first shot with just the Duo alone. So we're going to bring in some assistants and ask them to turn on the backlights one at a time. Okay, so we're ready to add a little bit of drama to the shot. Dylan, I'm going to get you to step in, and we've got an SB900 set up on a stand up a little bit above Ella's head, and on the front of it I have a grid, and that's a 10-degree spot grid, and we're just going to turn on the pocket wizard. We've got it set at, I believe, 1/64th power. It's very, very low, and we just want a little bit of light to give us some separation and to help bring out the hair, and we've just got to wake it up. Let's try that one again. There we go. And so now you can see that on the side of her face, we've got a little bit more separation from the background. Now let's give the background just a little bit of kiss of light. Victoria, if I could get you in there to turn on that pocket wizard. Now this one here gave us a bit of a challenge. So this is for the advanced user. We've put the same grid on it. We've zoomed the flash to 200mm, and we've set it down to 1/28th, which is the lowest power that it can go. It still was too powerful. So we used a piece of gel. We used a 2-stop ND filter and just put it in between the grid and the light itself just to bring down the power, and we're going to take another shot. Actually, I'm going to step out of the frame, and I want to be able to get a full-length shot this time so we can add a lot of drama. I'm using a 200mm lens, and Ella, I'm going to get you to just step into the light just like that. Excellent. 1, 2, 3. And there you have it. We have a completed shot. Okay, so we made a few changes. We've swapped out the diffuser panels in the softbox, and we put in the reflector dish, which I showed you in the studio earlier. So we've got that going on. The light's a little bit more dramatic. We still have the fabric going on. Ella's getting a little bit of different touch-up done to her makeup so we get a little sparkle on the lip. We've still got the fabric on the ground, but this time Dylan is going to handhold an SB800, and we're going to remotely fire that SU4 mode. And so we're going to have the 3 lights, the 2 main lights, the 2 backup lights, the background light, and then this one here is just going to give us a little kick to light the shadow. And because we've got Ella a little bit closer to the light, her eyes actually go dark. So we're going to make this a little bit more dramatic, and with the light coming off of the fabric here, we're going to get a catch light in the bottom of the eye. It's going to be very dramatic and very, very heavy, and should be a lot of fun. Okay, so we've done a few changes to the makeup. Take a shot. We're going to do 2 looks. 1 look with the eyes open, and now we'll look with the eyes closed. 1, 2, 3. And this is great for your makeup artist's portfolio shot. You get 2 looks and get to see all the details in the makeup. That's the Rapid Box Duo.
Well, that's it. That's the end of this show. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed putting it together for you. Don't forget to check us out at snapshotshow.com. You'll find all of the show notes there, the high-res galleries with the photos taken today. Check us out on Facebook at Snapshot Show. And there you will find some behind-the-scenes news and what's coming up on upcoming shows and all kinds of fun stuff going on there. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and that way you won't miss the next show that's coming up at the end of February. And leave us your comments down below. Let us know what you like about the show. Let us know what you don't like. Any suggestions that you have for upcoming shows, we're always there to listen. We want to know what you like. A big shout out to everyone who's helped me make this show possible. The team is actually growing, and we're all learning to do things a little bit more efficiently. So a big shout out to them. Thanks very much. And don't forget, get out there and shoot lots. Pixels are free. We'll catch you on the next one.